Rasengan.
The power of true love has been awakened. Mangekyou Sharingan Sarada saves all. If Uchiha usually awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan through hatred or suffering, Sarada is one of the Uchiha who awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan through love. And welcome to the full spoiler of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 20. Without further ado, let's get started. The title is because of love, and the chapter begins with Matsuri preparing to devour Konohamaru. However, with a condition that can be said to be dying because his mouth is bleeding, Konohamaru continuously babbles and tries to resist Matsuri's intention to kill him. But because previously Matsuri was really frustrated with him and also hurt, Matsuri gave Konohamaru a choice. Let him continue to speak until the end of his life, or even Matsuri will directly break his neck. But before Konohamaru chose that option, he remembered Shikamaru's previous words to at least be kind to Matsuri. Because while they have not become evil and innocent like children, then the possibility of taming them is easier. And because of those words, Konohamaru tried once again to persuade Matsuri's heart so that she would not devour him. By trying to repeat Matsuri's previous words where she was very happy to be able to talk to him and even considered that it was the best day in Matsuri's life, Konohamaru was sure that this would work. Even Konohamaru also reasoned that if Matsuri devoured him, then it meant that between the two of them, there would never be a chance to talk a lot like this again. But it turns out that Matsuri's response has not matched Konohamaru's expectations. Because with the fact that Konohamaru said earlier that Matsuri was happy to talk to him and even thought that it was the best day, of course, it had a pretty bad impact on Matsuri itself. Because that way, there is a factor that is scary and makes Matsuri lose her mind and also feel that it is not her true self. And because according to Matsuri, this is a situation that makes her confused, then Matsuri decides that Konohamaru is a dangerous person for her. Because by getting rid of dangerous things, it is a basic instinct for survival. And in essence, Matsuri felt a coexisting urge to devour Konohamaru alive. Meanwhile, Sarada and the others were in a dangerous situation because there was no longer a sword that could counter Ryu's iron sand. But even so, it did not make Mitsuki desperate. With all the power of his sage mode, he tried to give resistance to Ryu, but unfortunately, it didn't produce good enough results. And not only Mitsuki, Araya also ended up being a hostage to Ryu itself. Even though they were both in a situation where they could be killed by Ryu, Araya shouted to Yodo and Sarada to run away and save themselves. But hearing that, it turned out that Ryu would not easily let them go. But if killing was one of his options, according to Ryu, this was an unfavorable situation. In other words, Ryu gave them the option to tell him the location of Boruto or one of his associates. In addition, Ryu wants them to divulge everything they know about Boruto, including his weaknesses. But with that offer, Mitsuki thought that Ryu was trying to trap them and also wanted to kill them. So with that, Mitsuki told them to ignore Ryu's offer and advised Sarada and Yodo to run away immediately. But ironically, Ryu considered Mitsuki's accusation to be something inhumane. Even with that fact, Ryu instead turned Mitsuki's words around and claimed that they were the ones who betrayed him first. And yep, Yodo's actions might make you blame her entirely. However, since Boruto is known as a traitor in this situation, Yodo forces Sarada to tell Ryu where Boruto is. But of course, even if Sarada knew where Boruto was at that moment, she wouldn't tell Ryu. She even told Yodo not to be foolish. After all, according to Sarada, this was just Ryu's scheme to set a trap. And yeah, since there seemed to be no other option, Yodo asked Sarada what she should do at this point. Is it just to stand by and wait for Ryu to kill everyone? Sarada's response truly showed that she was a shinobi with the determination to become Hokage. With firm resolve, she stated that she was not the type of person who would sell out her friends just to save herself. Moreover, she also revealed the fact that she genuinely knew nothing about Boruto from the very beginning. And it turns out, guys, Sarada suddenly remembered Sumire's words earlier, where she said she really wanted to help Boruto. But unfortunately, they barely knew anything about him. And ironically, that's exactly why they were able to live freely in the village. But even though Sarada has been honest that she herself doesn't know much about Boruto, Yodo assumes and says that she now understands why Sarada would defend someone who is a traitor to her village like that. Even Yodo also thinks that if the whole world is Boruto's enemy, then Sarada is the only one who supports Boruto. damn. Even though this is a simple statement, it holds such a deep meaning, right? Even with that fact, Yodo says that Shinki is like that to her too. But as the situation gets more complicated, Ryu gets confused and says he should kill them all, but Yodo says to at least wait. Yodo also told Ryu that they didn't have any information about Boruto to begin with. But unfortunately, Ryu did not easily believe Yodo's words and thought that this was enough to end them all. But again, that didn't make Yodo lose her mind. She had another idea and offered another option. She sacrificed herself in exchange for helping Ryu find Boruto. Yodo would even use her sensor abilities for Ryu and work with him to find Boruto's whereabouts. However, before that, beyond her control, Matsuri suddenly shed a tear from her eye. Perhaps a sign that deep in her soul, Mogi was resisting and rebelling against what Matsuri was about to do to Konohamaru. Even Konohamaru validated that tear by saying that deep down, Matsuri didn't truly want to kill him. However, since Matsuri herself didn't understand what a tear was or what was happening to her, Konohamaru seized the moment and made a request. He asked Matsuri to hold his hand. He even said that this would be the beginning of a special bond. Through that single touch, she would come to understand and feel what a meaningful connection truly was. Once again, Konohamaru suddenly recalled Shikamaru's words. At the very least, be kind and friendly to Matsuri. And if the situation played out according to plan, then betray them. At that very moment, without hesitation, Konohamaru unleashed a massive Odama Rasengan to kill Matsuri. But at the same time, Shikamaru's words kept echoing in his mind. Don't use your heart, don't let your guard down, and finish your enemy in a single strike. But it turns out, Jura knows what really happened to Matsuri. Unfortunately, because of love, Matsuri became hesitant to kill Konohamaru. Matsuri was deceived, and finally, she suffered a painful counterattack by Sarutobi Konohamaru. Even with that stupid act, Matsuri let victory get away from her. And once again, love made things very stupid. And now we return to Yodo, who had previously offered to cooperate with Ryu. However, since Ryu was already traumatized by betrayal and could also sense the ill intent within Yodo, he didn't hesitate to stab her, leaving her on the brink of death. With Yodo impaled and suffering a fatal wound, her friends were naturally thrown into hysteria. Now in a position of absolute dominance, Ryu seemed quite satisfied, as everyone had become nothing more than his puppets. And in Yodo's final moments, she once again spoke to Sarada. Even though it wasn't the right time, Yodo knew that Sarada still hadn't fully understood herself, and she didn't even understand her own feelings. And even though Sarada didn't know or understand herself or the reason why she needed to be strong, Yodo was able to understand and hear the true feelings of Sarada. And because Sarada's unawareness and confusion in controlling her heart and mind led her to misunderstand, Yodo thought that Sarada had wasted her potential power. However, even though Ryu saw Yodo persistently holding on despite her critical condition, he planned to end her life quickly. But once again, Yodo told Sarada that she didn't understand why Sarada was holding herself back. What Yodo meant was the reason why Sarada was restraining her potential power. The biggest reason for Sarada holding back her power was because of Boruto. But since Sarada's heart was solely focused on protecting Boruto, in this situation, it seemed like Sarada was holding back her power for everyone. However, despite this, Yodo ultimately respected Sarada's decision, and it didn't matter if Sarada only wanted to use her power to protect Boruto. And finally, a great potential that had been restrained all this time was awakened. As Ryu spread his iron sand and attempted to use it to kill them, suddenly, the iron sand that had previously restrained Mitsuki was released and began to gather at a single point. More precisely, the iron sand was absorbed by Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan, and that was the ability of Sarada's Sharingan power that she had been holding back all this time. But, unfortunately, before we can clearly know the name of this technique and what happens next, the chapter ends here, guys. But damn, in this cliffhanger situation, we have to wait until next month. Thanks for watching, liking, and subs. I'm Nim. See you in the next Boruto Chapter 20 review. Bye-bye, Dadabayo.